Hey everyone, Ishmael Kolia, Ish, your realtor, associate broker with eXp Realty, and the team leader for the team of experts. Today I want to talk about escrow. Escrow is the time which begins after contract is fully signed. So once a buyer and a seller of real estate have fully signed a contract, then they have entered into a phase or a period called escrow, also known as in contract or pending. A number of things begin to happen once the contract is fully signed. At this point, inspections may need to be done. In New York State, inspections are generally done before the contract is signed. However, it is not unusual for a contract to be signed, or rather inspection to be done after contracts are signed, certainly in many states and suburbs which are not in New York or New York City. So inspection is one thing that may happen once a buyer and seller enter into escrow. The next thing that would happen is the buyer would start to fill out their mortgage application. They start to officially apply for a mortgage. Previously, they got a pre-approval from the lender, but now they're officially applying for mortgage. So they would be filling out the application, and then a credit check would need to be done for this buyer by their mortgage company. And the next thing that would happen is the lender would order an appraisal. So an appraiser would then reach out to one or both of the real estate agents involved and schedule an appointment to go appraise the property, go look at the property, make sure that it is what the buyer and the seller are claiming to be buying and selling. The mortgage company wants to make sure that their money is safe and secure, and also that the house is safe and secure for the buyer or the future occupants. So an appraiser would go out and do the appraisal and arrive at a value of this house. And the mortgage company wants to make sure that the buyer is not overpaying for the house. And again, the mortgage company really cares about their money, and they want to make sure that their money is secure. So appraisal would happen at that point. Another thing that would happen is a title company, often led by the buyer's attorney. In any case, the title company will order a title report, right? So a title report finds or tries to discover any legal problems with the house. Who are the owners of the house? Are all the current owners present in the contract of sale? And also, are there any open liens, open tickets, open violations, any open work permits, and so forth. So title report will try to uncover any legal problems that may be lurking behind the scenes. And again, your mortgage company, or rather your attorney and your title company, will try and make sure that you are safe legally from any legal problems. And also, once the appraisal is clear and the value is good, once the title report is back and title is cleared, then the mortgage company will issue the buyer rather, what's called a commitment letter. In mortgage business, there are no guarantees. However, the commitment letter simply says that the mortgage company is now committing to giving a mortgage to the buyer. Now there are some final details that need to be taken care of, and once those are taken care of, the mortgage company will issue what's called a clear to close. This is the green light that everybody's been waiting for, the CTC, or the clear to close. Once the clear to close is issued, then the buyer's agent will schedule what's called a final walkthrough. That means the buyer will go with the buyer's agent back to the property and make sure that the property is still in the same condition that they saw at their first visit. They want to make sure that whoever was supposed to be vacating the property has already vacated the property. No one's living in the house. If you're buying the house vacant delivered, they want to make sure, the buyer will want to make sure that the roof is not leaking if there was no leak previously, the appliances are still there, the windows and doors are not broken in, and so forth. So basically, the buyer and the buyer agent are going to make sure that the things are almost the same that they saw on their first visit, minus the personal items such as furniture and clothes and so forth. All of that should have been out by now. It's time for closing in a day or so, and so all of the personal items and all the persons, the seller and the seller's family or the tenants, should now be out, unless the buyer is buying the property with certain tenants. That's a different story. So that's called the final walkthrough. And by the way, there are issues that do come up during final walkthrough. For example, you may discover that the hot water's not working. You may discover that the heat's not working. Or you may discover that the roof is leaking, as it happened to one of my final walkthroughs. When we went to the final walkthrough, the entire roof in the entire house was, just raining down. No big deal. There's a solution to everything, and then you immediately want to let your attorney know of any issues that you uncover during the final walkthrough. Take pictures, take videos, and alert your attorney right away. Don't wait until the closing. Alert your attorney right away so your attorney can start to work with the other attorney to find a solution. What could be a solution to a problem such as the roof is leaking when it wasn't supposed to be leaking, or the refrigerator's missing, or the heat or hot water's not working? The two attorneys will work out a solution. Perhaps the seller will go in and fix the problem before the closing. That means the closing may have to be delayed, or the seller may put some money in escrow with their attorney and will take care of the issue after the closing. And once you give your attorney the green light to say, yes, everything has been fixed, then the seller will get that money released to them. Another option is the seller may simply just give you some credit so that the buyer can take care of this new problem. So seller may say, hey, you know what, here's $5,000. You go ahead and get the heat repaired. Obviously, you want to make sure that that credit that you're getting on the price is sufficient to cover the problem and any additional problem that may come up while trying to fix the original problem and so forth. Again, if there are issues during final walkthrough, not a big deal. They have, a lot of issues do get handled by the attorneys, and generally the transaction will close either as scheduled, or there may be a postponement for a week or two or a day or two so that the seller can resolve those issues and then both parties can close. So that's what escrow looks like, or in contract or pending period looks like. Once the buyer and seller sign the contract, buyer first applies for the mortgage, appraiser goes out to do an appraisal to find the value of the house, title company checks the title to make sure there are no legal problems with the property, mortgage company issues a commitment letter, final touch-ups are done, and then the mortgage company will issue a clear to close. Once the clear to close is issued, then a closing will be scheduled by all parties that is convenient to them, and then just a day before the closing, or even perhaps a few hours before the closing, a final walkthrough will take place. The last bit of advice is to schedule the final walkthrough as close to the closing as possible. For example, if you have a closing on Thursday, you don't want to schedule a final walkthrough on Monday, because you may go check out the house with your agent for final walkthrough on Monday, but then between that final walkthrough on Monday and a closing on Thursday, so many things can happen. Perhaps a tree can fall on the house on Wednesday. Perhaps a lightning can strike that house on Tuesday, right? Maybe a squatter can break into the house on Tuesday night. So many things can happen during that window between you did the final walkthrough and the actual closing. So you want to make sure that you minimize that window of opportunity of things happening, because once you buy the house and once you sign for the paperwork and once the money is released to the seller, it's your house. Whatever the house then comes with are all your issues, right? So you want to make sure that you go check out the house for one final time as close to the closing. So ideally, if the closing is at 11 a.m. on Thursday, you probably want to go check out the house at 9 a.m. on a Thursday. All right, I hope this was helpful. Ishmael Kolya, Ish your Realtor. We're here to help you and your family get into your new home. My team and I are ready to help you, whether you're looking in New York City, in the suburbs of New York, or New York State, or all over the United States. eXp Realty has agents all over the place. Please reach out to me, 914-215-1540, 914-215-1540. Ishmael Kolya, Ish your Realtor, eXp Realty. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.